I'm grateful that you are here, and I'm very pleased to share this time with you. The most important thing that is being shared here is an inner state. The method is important to gradually build up to the point where you really can change your inner state. But in the end, the inner state is the important thing. The method, in the end, doesn't really matter. The key there is surrender, letting go, opening. So however you can do that is terrific. And of course, the method that we are using is very geared to that, and it works. But as a practitioner or as a teacher, it's not enough to just, tell people about a method, but it's to really share an inner state, whether you are a parent or a friend, co-worker, grandmother, whatever role you have. It's the inner state that you have that is important. Doesn't mean you need to be or should be guilty about, feeling normal human emotions. This is totally fine. But the practice is so that we can embrace those emotions and let go into an even deeper place. And we can feel the gratitude and the joy and the energy of that deeper state at the core of the emotions. But by all means, we want to be human. I am not really so taken with any idea of enlightenment. It can easily be such an illusion that, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm perfect, I'm above everything human. I mean, Rudi, basically, my teacher Rudi, he talked about enlightenment as something that happened when you passed away, when you dropped your body. And until then, what we can do is we can grow. We can grow tremendously in our experience of that deeper state. We can grow tremendously in our sense of love and compassion and openness, joy. But also discover that, there is a lot of joy in pain. So I'm very happy to share these evenings with you, and what opinions you have or what personal stories you have really doesn't matter. What matters is the degree to which you want to open into your deeper self. And sometimes, as a teacher, we end up with a situation where a natural thing happens with somebody that becomes an opportunity to challenge a person to go deeper into themselves. And few of you have had that experience with me, and I guarantee you, I always will do it as a creative event that happens naturally for everybody's good. I'm not saying I'm always right about everything at all, but my intention is always to encourage the person to go deeper. So any kind of feedback is for that purpose. I mean, I think I've told it here before, but a very strong situation for me in that regard was when I was studying with Rudi, my teacher Rudi, in New York in the early days. And I had been there for a year or more, and I was getting very, very at ease in this atmosphere and in the gains that I had made. I felt a lot better. I felt my heart was open, and I was relating much better to everything in my life. But gradually, And I didn't know this consciously, but Rudi knew it, and he made me aware of it. I had started to take this new state and my relationship with him for granted. So one time we're sitting in the meditation area, actually in the dining room area, where in his space, there might have been 10 people there, including myself. And we always had meditation, personal, direct Shaktipat with him after breakfast. So, and he, at that point, it was very intense, very intense, very intense. And people were going up, he was calling them up, and he was working with them, each of us, with Shaktipat. And it was very intense. And there were times when people were falling backward from the interaction. So he's working with me very intensely. And at one point, I fall back. But in a way, I realized in retrospect, that it was to some degree my own will doing it. I was a lot of people were having these experiences, and so I was also having that experience. But in retrospect later, I realized, well, gee, I'm really acting. I'm taking this situation for granted that it should be like that. And so Rudi saw this, of course, in me. It was part of my ego that was reacting. And he said, leave the house. I mean, I was devastated. I had to leave. And this was after having been really integrated in that inner core of people near him. And I was, certainly my ego was shattered. And I left and I went to my space right above his store where I live. And I sat and meditated all day long. And I asked inside, whatever he wants with this, I am open to receive it. Maybe he wants to kick me out. Maybe I'm not qualified to do this. All these things went through me. But in the end, I just really, really, really opened my heart. I opened to a whole new level in myself. And I could feel the love there and the freedom inside to say that even if he is, whatever his intention is, I am going to benefit from it. So at the end of the day, I was living right above his store in one of his spaces there, buildings. He owned some buildings. And so I go down to the store, and usually at this hour, it's very crowded. People come in. But right then, there was nobody there. It was like he was just waiting for me. So I got all my courage together, and I walked into his store. He's sitting way in the back of the store. And, basically all that happened was that he gave me a big hug, rolled me around on his belly, and I said, well, I thought you were going to kick me out. And he said, no, I love you way too much for that. So, and I mean, I was lifted to a totally new level, transcending what little ego I had. I was just really in that state of unconditional love. And I knew then and there that this state, if I work on it and continue to deepen my contact with it, I will have this state for the rest of my life. To the degree I work to connect with it, and I can really serve other people with it. And sometime later I asked him, will I ever be able to teach? And he said, yes, he gave me his blessings to do that. So I was very grateful for that. It was really magical. But the thing is, I realize in retrospect, it was a real test. It was a test. Where am I going to go with that kind of feedback? It was really very strong feedback from my little ego. I could have said, oh, he's an evil man. He wants to hurt me. It's not true. I don't accept what he's talking about. It's just nonsense. But as it turned out, it was a real opportunity to go to a deeper place inside where I was in a much deeper state and with a deeper sense of surrender. So this is sometimes the way, as a teacher, we can work for the benefit of someone else. But it's what the texts say, you can lead someone to the water, but if they don't drink, that's the person's choice. And, many of you now, you have really wonderful experiences with this. And it's that inner state, to deepen that inner state, to really capitalize on it, the opportunity. And, you can really influence very, very, very positively the rest of your life. There is no doubt about that. So I certainly wish you super, super well in that transformation that many of you are, all of you are to some degree involved in. And you're all in different places, with different needs. And you need to kind of build it up step by step and feel more and more confidence in your deeper self.